wanted to talk about what look I was doing today, and I am doing Ryuk from Death Note. This is probably one of my most requested looks. Every time I ask, what kind of looks do you guys want to see? Is there someone specific you want to see? Anything specific? Ryuk is probably one that always pops up. I had never known who he was until I started watching Death Note, which I love. I'm not finished with it yet. I'm on episode like 27 or 28, which there's like 37 episodes, I think, at least on Netflix. So I'm not done with it yet, but Ryuk is one of my favorite characters. I'm sure you could guess that because he's so spooky. And I just wanted to recreate him today. I am doing a female version, not really altering anything about his face. I'm just going to bring down his stapled neck a little bit farther to show a little bit of like cleavage or boobage to show that this is a female version. And I am wearing a long black wig, not the short spiky wig that he has, or the hair that he has. He's not wearing a wig, that's his hair. I am going to be recreating this today. I am going to show you everything that I do for it. I do have to custom make the color for his skin, things of that nature. And I just really hope you guys enjoy this. I love doing spooky mouths. Painting mouths on is probably like one of my favorite things to do when it comes to painted looks. The reason I chose Ryuk over Rim as well, because Rim is the female Shinigami, is because she's kind of more difficult to make. I don't really have the pieces to make her, like her hair and like some, you know, her spiky bone shoulders. I don't really have anything to make that with. She is someone that I'm going to work on and probably buy a few things or DIY it and create them myself. Not saying I won't do her. I do plan on doing her in the future. She's just going to take a little bit more time to get together. But for Ryuk, it's pretty self-explanatory, and I do have everything necessary to create him. If you guys want to see me create Ryuk today, then just please keep watching. Thanks, guys. Starting off, we are gluing down these eyebrows. I'm using Elmer's glue, the stick one, translucent one, and then taking a little spoolie, I will be first gluing them down. Just go back and forth, make sure you get in between all those hairs and cover every single inch of those brows. And then you take the spoolie and you brush it right through the brows and make sure all the hairs are laying down in the direction they grow. Some people like to stick them straight up. I like to do it in the direction they grow. Then go ahead and just kind of pat out the edges there so there's no sharp lines. I take some water usually and do that. And then taking my Makeup Forever 12 color flash palette. I am taking this orangey peachy color and I'm putting it on top of the brows after the glue has dried. Doing a darker or a peachy color will help hide the darkness first. I'm going to blend all the lines out. So it's basically color correcting, so an orange color covers up blues or darkness. And then put a little bit of powder on top of that just to set it somewhat. And then take your normal color of concealer and put it on top of that and blend it out. They don't need to be covered perfectly. As you can see, you can still see a bit of darkness through them, but we are putting white paint on top, so no biggie. Taking a disposable sponge wedge thingy, I am packing on the powder, literally packing it on. You want to make sure it gets in there and dries everything and sets everything. Now, once you look really crazy, go ahead and start sketching out where you want the neck to lay, I guess, and his eyeballs. I went ahead and did the eyeballs first before I did the mouth, so I can get an idea of how I wanted the mouth to lay. I didn't want the eyeballs and the mouth interrupting each other, if that makes sense. I'm also just sketching out his like eyeliner stuff that's going on around his eyes, which he has got a nice wing going on, might I say. Then I go ahead and sketch out his chin. I want it to go down onto my neck because he does have a more elongated face than I do. So I wanted to create the illusion of the chin being longer than what I have on my face. I'm also just going ahead and sketching out the surface area of the mouth and where I want it to lay, basically. This is just a rough draft. It doesn't need to be perfect. We're just getting an idea of where we want everything to lay and how we want it all to look. Then I'm taking my Smashbox primer. Any primer will do. I'm just choosing a silicone-based one, more so the paint doesn't dry up and it goes on a lot smoother. And I am taking this weird combo of foundation and paint. I know it's really weird and it looks really weird, but it ended up working pretty well, at least on the chest. On the face, for whatever reason, I started cracking and drying, and I had to go over it with white paint. White paint is so hard. Both of these concoctions here dry and crack, and it's hard to shade everything and go over it with shading and colors because it wants to crack and peel off, basically. So I just worked with what I had. Mehron's Clown paint will probably be the best choice, though, for white paint. Then I'm just taking the white paint and really exaggerating these sharp edges on the outside of the neck. It looks like his neck is stapled on, so that's why I am just really creating some definition here. And just keep painting and blend it in with everything. I kind of liked it a little whiter on the edges. Now I am just really making the collarbones and some lines pop out by shading. I used a combination of blues, grays, and blacks to do this, and I just used my Morphe 35C palette to do this as well. I started straightening my neck, as you can see, to get really sharp lines and make the neck look more prominent, I guess you could say. Then I started painting my face, and this is when I started having problems with the white liquid makeup from Mehron and the foundation combination I had going on. It started kind of caking up and peeling off in certain areas even before it was dried, and it was really irritating me. I was not happy, let me tell you, but I ended up figuring it out. I just went ahead and laid this first base down, and then I kind of went in with a second coat, and I started realizing that it wasn't doing the job. And right here is where I started putting down the actual face paint from Snazaroo. I just went over all of it, and it made a nice opaque layer. Then I went ahead and started defining the mouth, the lips, the teeth, all that. And then I take my Mehron Paradise paints, and I take this purple up here in the corner. And this is what I'm using for the lips today. And I go ahead and define those babies out. They're really jagged and not perfect. I was looking at a reference picture of Ryuk the whole time I was doing this makeup look. Something I seriously recommend just to get features pretty spot on and correct. Then when I started painting in the teeth, I realized I didn't want to do as many as I had sketched out. I just wanted to do a few here and there, a couple random ones, some longer than others, some shorter than others. His teeth are not perfect. Then I'm taking my black Mehron Paradise paint, and I am filling in the mouth. Just go around the teeth that you painted on and fill in everything black. On this show, his mouth does look more of like a maroon or like a red color in the center, but black hides lines more and mouths more, so for the sake of this makeup, I went with black instead of a maroon color. Now I am going and making his eyeliner, whatever the hell it is. I'm just taking black paint and outlining it, basically what I had drawn on. I didn't do it too perfect though. At least not at first. I'm kind of all over the place with this makeup, just so you know. Going back and forth all over the place. Now, once you look like you have some glasses on, we're going to start painting in them eyeballs with this yellow Mehron Paradise paint. I am putting eyeshadow primer down just so the paint doesn't crease. I don't want it to move anywhere. This is a crucial part of the makeup, and I'm doing it on top and on bottom. Then go ahead and paint on them eyeballs. Make sure you don't open your lids. You keep looking down. That way there is no creasing while it's drying. And then I'm taking the color Star from the Kat Von D Beauty Pastel Goth palette, and I am packing on this yellow because the yellow paint did come out a little bit more orangey than I wanted. And this yellow is the perfect shade of yellow, and it also helps set the paint as well. So just pack that on there, make it nice and opaque. Then paint on the bottom part. Make sure you're doing perfect circles too, like really pay attention to that. And then I'm taking the black and really just cleaning up the eyeballs. I didn't go too close in with the black because I didn't know how big I wanted to do the eyeballs. Packing on some more Star eyeshadow on the bottom there. And then I'm taking just a light brown color and I'm shading the eyes on the same side on both of them, because if a shadow was coming down, they'd both be shaded on the same side. So I'm just doing it up in the left-hand corner of both of the eyes. Then I'm just taking white paint and really cleaning up the edges there around the eyes and the mouth as well. Then I'm starting to make some wrinkles and some lines here. Again, looking at a reference picture to see where his shadows are at. I'm just taking a light gray color and lightly starting with that. Then I decided, he needs his cute little pig pushed up nose. So I'm just pulling up my natural nostrils and creating lines going up. And then to give that look like his nose is pushed up, I am shading around my nostrils. This is really important to make the nose look like a pig's nose, basically, is what he has. You just want to make the illusion that your nose isn't there and your nose isn't shaped the way it is. Then I'm taking some black and gray shadows and I'm really carving out the sides of my face so it doesn't look as round as it is. I want it to look more angular like his face is and to kind of follow the chin that I created. So just taking black shadows will really help do the trick. Then I'm creating some lines on his chin like he has, some wrinkles he's got going on, it looks like. Then I'm just creating some more shadowing and shading above the eyes. And if you look in anime, you can see the shading is pretty, it's not super blended. It's pretty stark and straight on there. And some lines for smile. I created 2 on each side. And then I started outlining the lips, just taking black paint and outlining the outside of the lips and the inside where the teeth are at as well. You also want to make sure you shade the teeth with some gray shadow to give the illusion of the mouth sitting on top of the teeth. I didn't show that though, I lost that footage, but it's pretty self-explanatory and very simple. Just make sure you take gray shadow over the teeth and then right along the black line and the lips, you want to take some black shadow to really give that illusion of shading and shadowing. Taking some silver paint from Mehron. I am going to be creating the little staples where it looks like his neck is stapled onto his body. And I'm just creating really random shapes and lines, and I'm really creating them randomly all over the neck. There's no rhyme or reason to this. And then I'm making some little lines where it's going into, where it looks like it's going into his neck. I also did some shading on the pointed lines there to give some feathering effect. If that makes sense, on the outside of the neck there. So it didn't look just like points sticking out all over the place. I just shaded it a little bit. Shading in those parts so it looks like something's going in there. And then I did some more shading around the nose just to give it some more exaggeration, and also around the mouth and on the forehead a little bit just to give some more definition and detailing, basically. Creating his little, whatever you want to call this. I forget what this, ducktail. I don't know what this is called, but he's got a little point in the front there with his hair. Then taking some red Mehron Paradise paint, I am filling in the pupil of his eyes. Now these don't have to be perfect. His eyes don't ever look like they're looking straight. They look kind of crooked all the time. So it's okay if these are crooked. You almost want them to be. You don't want to place them where your pupils are. You want them to look weird and crooked, like he's not looking straight, basically. And that, my friends, is the complete female version of Ryuk. This was such a fun look to create. Oh my goodness, you guys, I had a blast. I love Ryuk. I hope I did him justice. I hope you guys love this as much as I did. I do want to do Rim, and I want to do Misa as well. A follower on Instagram recommended that to me, and I think that's a cute idea. So you will see a couple more Death Note looks for sure. Thanks so much for watching, as always. Stay tuned for my next look, guys. Bye.